This video is sponsored by Treats by Ya.
I'm a data entry officer. I'm mother to two adorable girls, a 23-month-old and a 2-month-old. For the first one, we got married in December. And then somewhere around February, I was always complaining of nausea. At one point, we were going out and we just had to stop in the middle of the road so that I found the place to puke. And my husband was like, nah, you have to get a dewormer. I said, okay. Like, we're not thinking about pregnant. I don't know why, but we're not just thinking about it. So we went to the pharmacy shop. He went in to get a dewormer. When he came, he had a dewormer and a pregnancy test. I'm like, but we are going to get a dewormer. What is this? I said, and he was like, as a married woman, you don't just go about deworming. You just have to check if you are not pregnant before you deworm. I'm like, okay. So when we went home, the plan was he would check first. If it's negative, then I take the dewormer. And when he checked, it was positive. I'm like, really? This is how fast it happens. Okay, fine. And for the second one, my dad wasn't well at that time, and I was the one going in and out of the hospital here and there. So I had even lost track. Like, I was late, but I didn't even realize it. So when I realized, I'm like, this thing was supposed to come on Tuesday, and this is a Thursday, and my cycle is that on point. So just one day cry is a reason to be alarmed. So I just told my husband, and we were all like, oh, maybe it's a stress because the anxiety I'm going through, my dad being sick and all that. So we should just wait. We waited, and unfortunately he passed. My dad passed. And I wasn't getting any better. Right now I started having some funny feelings. And we're like, okay, fine, let's check as usual. We went to the pharmacy, we got a test kit, we checked, and it was positive. Both of them, that was how it happened. There wasn't any butterflies in anybody's stomach. We're not also about it. Nah, we just found out and we're moving on. The first one, I don't know what I felt. I think I didn't feel anything. I was surprised somehow. And I was glad because I had heard stories of people being married for long years and not being married. So I was glad that I didn't have to go through that first. But the pregnancy, so another time, so I was in school. I was doing my master's. So the only thought I had was, hey, will I be able to combine? But thankfully, my program is a 2-year program, but the first year is the only time that you go to class. That one is even twice a week. So I'm like, oh, I just have to schedule my time well with work and school for that. It was even during my second semester, so for just that second semester till May. And the second year is research, so I manage my time on my own. But with the second one, I didn't know what to feel because I was mourning. My dad hadn't passed for even up to a week, like some few days. And then I was traumatized. I was really traumatized because he died in my hands. So finding out about this, I'm like, what is this? I just didn't feel anything. I just didn't want to think about it. I'm mourning. What else? Baby. So, but I think after some time, I just processed this. I'm like, okay, maybe God is compensating me for my sorrow or my struggle or something. So I just took it in good stride. I didn't have any extraordinary feeling. I'm excited. I'm pregnant. No. It was just a normal thing. Something new has been added to your life. And with the second one, I thought about the anxiety so much because my first pregnancy didn't go well for me at all. So I'm like, oh, am I going to go through this all over again? And that was one other thing I also thought about with the second one. With the first one, medically, I didn't really have much of an issue. The baby didn't have any issue. In the beginning, I had hyperemesis. And it was that terrible. I had to be admitted for God knows how many days, in and out, taking infusions here and there. And I couldn't put anything in my mouth. anything comes back out. And I'm like, but I've seen pregnant people walking about. Is that how they struggle in their homes and they come out and with their bellies and all that? I didn't know that this is how this thing was. I'm not enjoying it. And it got to a point I was so weak, I had to. And I was schooling, I was writing an exam, I was going here and there. So I had to quit my job. I had to quit. My bosses didn't have much of a problem with me not coming to work, me working from home and all that. But I had just got into the organization for like a few months, and this happens, and I'm not coming to work at all. I didn't feel the groove. Like even at home, I couldn't do anything. Sometimes even to take my bath, unless my husband comes in to actually help me bath. It was that terrible. I don't know how people manage it, but for me, it was that terrible. I just couldn't do anything. Cook, eat, but nothing. I was just there. It wasn't easy. And I was spitting all through. Like from the day the test said it was positive, I started spitting. My mother said, put carrots in your mouth. It wouldn't work. Ice, bland biscuits, crackers. What? Just mention it. What haven't I put in my mouth to stop spitting? Nothing worked for me. But latter part of the pregnancy, I found tiger nuts. And with that one, it suppressed the saliva. Like it didn't make it stop, but it suppressed it. Yes, that was for the first one. The second one, as I told you, I wasn't prepared and I was in a bad state already. So the only thing that came into my mind was this thing, the first one was just so terrible. How is this one going to be? How is this one going to be? My mother kept telling me, okay, maybe that because that was your first. Most of the time it's like that. Me, when I was carrying you, it was that terrible. But with your brother, we are two. With your brother, I was just about my normal thing. So let's just hope this one will be like that. And it didn't happen like that. It just didn't happen like that. But we sailed through. Pregnancy is a gift from God. But God knows I didn't enjoy everything about it. Apart from the fact that I'm glad that God has given me the chance to carry a baby, I just didn't understand why I was going through so much. I didn't enjoy anything. Someone will say, oh, maybe people give you attention, they're pampering. What I was going through, I would have loved not to go through it and nobody would give me attention. The pampering, when you are joining a queue, let me join the queue and let me not feel anything. You are not making me join queue to buy watch, but what I'm going through cannot be compared with the treatment you get at the watch joint. I just didn't enjoy anything about it. I didn't enjoy anything about pregnancy. No, not at all. With the first one, my due date wasn't up. And then the Friday, my husband and I, we worked like before, because I was getting close to my due date. He also took some time off work, so we're at home. We worked, we washed her car seats, we did everything. And when we were working, he was like, hey, what if you give birth right now? I'm like, are you serious? How can I just give birth right now? That was a Friday. We did everything, we slept. Saturday morning, our normal day started. I went to the washroom and boom, the bloody shoe. I just came out and I told him, be careful what you wish for. Do you know what he said yesterday? Right now, I've seen the shoe. He's like, oh really? Okay, we are just there. But the blood wasn't stopping. And he's like, okay. Ideally, I think it's supposed to cease. Like when you get the shoe, it shouldn't be flowing. So let's go to the hospital. And the hospital, thankfully, is like 5 minutes drive from our house. So we went to the hospital with my bag. My bag was already in the car, so we went to the hospital. When we got there, I don't know, I was just terrified. Just thinking about the fact that blood was still coming. A lot of negative things were going through my mind. I wanted to cry. I don't know whether I even started crying, but immediately I saw my midwife and she's like, why? I said, I'm bleeding. I said, oh, okay, so let's go and let me go and check. When they checked, they were like, oh, you are 2 centimeters dilated. So we'll observe you for some time. I was there. I wasn't feeling anything. I was just there. So Sunday morning, the doctor came and he's like, since nothing is coming up after, like, they gave me some medication and the bleeding stopped. So I can go home because I'm still 2 centimeters. Nothing has changed. I'm not feeling any pains and I'm not going further. So I should go home. That was around 10 a.m. And I came to my mother's place from the hospital. I was there. I had lost appetite. I had lost everything. I couldn't even drink water or anything. They gave me food I couldn't eat. Around 6 p.m., we're going back to our house, and immediately I sat in the car. The pain started. I can't describe it. Like, that's indescribable. I just can't describe it. But we managed and we got home. My husband said, should I take you to the hospital? I'm like, nah, I don't want to go and be sent back because they just discharged me this morning. So let's wait. Let's just sleep in the morning, then we'll go. I think since I came to this earth, that has been my longest night. From 6 till 5 a.m. on the Monday. I don't know how many hours it was, but it was like 1,000 years. The pains will come and it will go. And when they come, they are that excruciating, like you can't do anything. I can't lie on the bed. I can't sit. I cannot stand. I can't do anything. I'll just be snapping my fingers like this and snapping. My husband was like, around 1 a.m. said, no, let's go to the hospital. I'm like, no, I don't want to go. Let's wait till morning. Oh, now when it got to 4 o'clock, I'm like, nah, now I want to go. I really want to go because I couldn't do anything. The pains, you feel them in your knee, like it's like you're paralyzed. And then we got dressed and everything. Around 6 a.m. we decided to now go. Like, we all agreed that, okay, let's go. When we went and they checked, almighty checking. Then the midwife was like, what I'm coming to do is painful. I said, they did something to me yesterday, so don't worry. And then she checked and she's like, you are 2 centimeters dilated. I'm like, 2 centimeters nursing, because Saturday I was 2. Sunday I felt pain through to this Monday and I'm still 2. Okay, but they had to admit me and I was in pain. And when the pain comes, it's at my waist. And I had made up my mind not to be also dramatic about shouting, hitting people and all that. So I was just kept snapping my fingers and I used the back of my hand. I was just hitting the wall like this. Like, I was just hitting the wall. When the pain really comes, I'll just be hitting the wall and then be moaning very hard. It was that difficult, but I had to. At a point, I felt like I was dying. So my one midwife came. She was like, should I massage your waist for you? I said, yes, massage my waist for you. Should I hold you? I said, yes, hold me. Should I do this? Everything she says. I felt nothing was working. So I asked her, ma, it's me woo. And she was like, oh, I don't know, Kasa. Because I felt close to that. Like, the pain was just so much. And nothing was working. By this time, my husband was so miserable. Like, all the nurses were like, oh, you, like, man, soon. Your husband is here, and look at the way he's even mobile. Like, just do something to make him okay. I just couldn't face any of the pain that I was experiencing. From Monday morning to evening, nothing, still 2. Hey! And by this time, the way I was going through pain, they had taken me from the ward to the delivery room. There are 2 beds there. I wasn't on the delivery table. I was just on one bed in the room. I was there, then one lady came. And before you say Jack, they didn't even take her to the table. Her baby came out. I started crying, oh God, am I not also your child? Am I not also your child? And then this was like, I shouldn't worry. This lady, she has given birth to 4. This is her 4th. And this is my first baby. So first babies, the labor normally prolongs. So I shouldn't worry. I'm like, okay. I waited. Every 4 hours they'll come and check. So at a point I said, no, I'm not checking again. Like, The pain is just too much, and I'm not progressing. And the nurses, the way I was very miserable. When they are going off duty, they're like, oh, me call why? Me bomb pie, so me banana. When they come, I'll still be there. Okay, so on Tuesday morning, the nurses didn't understand because they had given me anything that they think they could give me. So when my doctor came, they told my doctor, and the doctor was okay, madam, I also want to check myself. I didn't feel shy. I didn't feel embarrassed. Like, he's a guy, but and so what? I just opened my legs for him to check, and it was still the same. So he said that he's coming to induce me. So, and it's very painful. I said I don't mind because I'm going through pain already. So they just put the infusion on me, and that was out of this world. It was out of this world. I kept telling myself, I found it true. Like, the pain was just out of this world, but I survived it. After the infusion got finished, they came to check. I was still 2 centimeters dilated. Hey, so one nurse was like, Doctor, dear, he wants to try everything before he resorts to CS. So let me go and call him. Because after the induction, I didn't progress. Okay, so when the doctor came, he was like, Madam, right now I want to rupture your membranes. Like, they want to manually break my water. It will make the baby uncomfortable. And maybe that will force her to descend. It will help my dilation. I'm like, just do it. But when I break your waters and after 3 hours, the baby doesn't come, you go through CS. I said, okay. And he ruptured the membranes, and that one is another level of pain. They just insert their finger some way, and then the water just gush out. It's very, I don't know whether I should say hot or warm. It's some way. Liquor. Yes, the liquor is some way. It's warm. He ruptured the membranes and he left. He was in consulting, so he went to consult. I was there, and they were coming to check the fetal heart rate regularly. One nurse came to check the fetal heart rate after about 2 hours, and I didn't like her facial expression. And whenever they checked, they put the Doppler on my belly, they put it on speaker, so I can hear the heartbeat. So sometimes they say that, oh, obanako mebo, can't unte, nenya just obey me too. But this one, she didn't put it on speaker. She just listened to it herself, and I didn't like her facial expression. And she went out. And then she brought the in charge to come and check. All that I heard was like, go and call doctor. I was just like, they were like, my daughter's heart rate is not good at all. I said, so what is it? They said, doctor said I'm going in for CS. That time too, my husband wasn't there. He was there from morning till that time, and then because they ruptured my membranes, all the things I took to the hospital were solved. So he had to rush home to go and get some of the things. At that moment, he wasn't there. So I gave my phone to one of the nurses that called my husband and told my husband that I'm going into the theater. They prepped me and everything, and we went. The doctor wasn't coming. Right now, I felt they were delaying, like, do the thing because my baby might die. And I've gone through so much pain to lose this baby. The baby might die. They said, Madam, can't wait now on sign. I said, I'm okay. They said, no, for protocol reasons. I just used my left hand. I'm not a lefty, but I just did something. It wasn't even a signature. I gave my consent. They said the doctor was coming. They took me to the theater. The anesthesiologist came, said that he'll give me a shot in my spine. I shouldn't worry. But he will not give it now when the doctor comes. And I think everything was just delaying. When the doctor was coming, I said, I think you should just see the scene. Me, I thought it was a movie. Everybody was rushing. The doctor was just removing his watch, his things. It was like a movie. I said, hey, what is happening to me? Like the way everybody's rushing. Like when you watch a movie and somebody has had an accident and everybody's rushing. Hey, nurses here, doctors here, instruments everywhere. The doctor came and then they gave me the shots. The anesthesiologist was like, oh, can you feel your leg? Raise your leg. I couldn't raise my leg. Okay, fine. So the doctor can start. In less than God knows how many seconds, my baby came. Like the one that he was cutting, I felt something there. I felt them ripping me open. I didn't feel anything, and then they took the baby out, and she didn't cry. And all this was because of the way the labor had been and the way I think they felt her. They had prepared the MB because they thought she would go into NICU. Yes. When they brought her out, she wasn't crying. they just hit her and hit her and hit her, and she gave her one feeble cry, and then she stopped. So then receiving nurse showed her to me. What's her gender? I said it's a girl. Already I knew that it would be a girl, so I just said it's a girl. And they took her away. That time I think my husband had just arrived. So when they took her out, she saw, and then he followed them for them to pierce her ear and all that. I was just there, they stitched me up, and that was it. But for the second one, because I was in for it and all that, I was like, oh God, thank you. God, thank you. I have my... And this one, when immediately they brought her out, she was just screaming. They were just crying. I'm like, oh God, thank you. God, thank you. Oh God, my baby. God, thank you. And for those few, 5 to 10 minutes, surprisingly, I wasn't spitting. And mind you, during the CS procedure for the second one, someone was sitting by me collecting the spit. I told them with my nose mask on and everything. They just told me that if I want to spit, I should just signal the person. Then he'll bring the container. I'll turn and he will raise my nose mask and I'll spit. But when they brought my baby out, those few minutes, all the spitting stopped, and I was just talking, oh God, thank you, my baby. Oh, the spitting just stopped. And I was just praising God. And that was it. I felt okay. I felt really excited with the second one. But the first one, I didn't feel anything. It wasn't, you are out, I'm tired, I'm hungry, let me sleep. But the first one, I really went into it like, oh God, I have a child. This big baby was in me, because the second one was bigger than the first one. So I was just excited with the second one, but the first, no. Surprisingly, the birth of the second one, although because it was planned, went smoothly. But the aftermath was traumatizing. And then the first one, the birth was traumatizing and the aftermath was smooth. So I can't choose any of them above anything. But it was the second one that nearly fell into depression. So there was a point I told my husband that I don't like her. My 2-month-old. I just didn't want to see her. Because I was going through a lot after the pregnancy, and I was blaming everything on the pregnancy. And because I had her, I'm going through all these. So I just didn't want to hold her. I just didn't want to have anything to do with her. But I went into therapy. I am still in therapy though. And the love I have for her is just out of this world. I don't think I love any of them more than the other. Just that this one, the elder one, can communicate. So we have playtimes, we laugh, we talk, we dance. But this baby, she's always sleeping. Thankfully, my children are both sleepers. They can sleep very well. So this one, I have very little time with her because she's almost always sleeping or she's breastfeeding. So I love her. When I look at her, it's indescribable. The feeling is just indescribable. I love her. I don't love any of them more than the other. But I think that if I hadn't gone into therapy, I think I would have, let me say, hated the second one because of all that I was going through. See, after her birth, she was diagnosed with jaundice. When I gave birth to my first child, I didn't get breast milk immediately, for 4 days. But she was okay. She didn't drink water. I had meant to do exclusive. Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, I hadn't got breast milk. I was doing everything, wrap, shea butter, eat ice kinky, but it wasn't coming. And I wasn't stressed. And the baby too wasn't crying. She was just a normal baby. So on Saturday, when I went to dress my wound, I bought formula. And I came to give it to her. Surprisingly, when I bought the formula and I came home, and the breast milk started coming small. So from day one, it was complimentary feeding for her. I couldn't do exclusive. But with the second one, gave birth to you on Tuesday. Wednesday, I wasn't bothered because the milk wasn't coming. And even with this one, I bought lactation biscuits I was taking even before I gave birth. But the milk was just not coming. Tuesday, we gave birth to you. Wednesday, this baby was jaundiced. And I was freaking scared. I hadn't heard some before. And I was telling my mother that I think I'm not used to a sick baby because my first child has never been sick. I've never been to the hospital. Since I brought her out of the hospital, the only time she goes back to the hospital is when she's taking her immunization. So I wasn't used to a sick baby. And this baby was jaundiced. She was yellow. It had now started her belly and her feet. Her eyes were not yellow yet, but they said she's jaundiced. She had to go into phototherapy. My husband had gone to get some things for us. So I called him that get formula. Let's sneak and give the formula to her. Because the thing is not coming. And these people are so bent on, give her breast milk, give her breast milk. You want the child to die. Right now, because you said I should give her breast milk. Look at what is happening. She's jaundiced. Even her sister, they never had like full exclusive breast milk. But she has never been sick. So my husband should buy formula. When he was coming, he brought the formula. He had warm water in a flask and everything. So I went to my midwife and I asked her, if I give her formula, what will happen? He said, if the jaundice hasn't started, I will let you give her formula. But once that started, maybe it will worsen it. And I got scared. Although I had a formula, I was scared that she said the formula might worsen it. And I'm a Google mom, but at that time, I didn't want to hear any bad news. I just didn't want to read. I think if I had read, I would have given my daughter the formula, because after that I read and I was like, there are some jaundice babies who are formula fed. So what if I had died? Would the baby have died with me? You are giving the baby formula now. But why is it that because I'm there, you're making it like breast milk or nothing? But I had to abide by it because I was scared. I didn't want to do anything that would aggravate the situation, because when we went into the MBU, they passed a line for the baby, like a day-old baby. And the scream she let out when the injection went into her vein was heart-wrenching. This is just a day old, and I was scared, like, what if this baby just feels that this world has so much pain, so she decides to leave me? And all through my pregnancy, I kept saying that I was done. I wasn't going to give birth again. So if this child leaves me, am I going to give birth again? Like, it was just so terrible. I didn't have breast milk, but I had to be going from my room to the MBU to breastfeed, just to put her to the breast. I brought my breast pump from the house, but still, the breast milk wasn't coming. When I came home, I had hemorrhoids. Another serious thing. I couldn't sit. I was standing to breastfeed. I was standing to express milk. So if I can, I stand to breastfeed, or I stand to express and I give to someone. My mother is around. She's amazing. My husband, that man, he deserves a medal. He was around. My elder sister is there. My brother is around. So all through, I had help. So I was just lying down. And then coupled with the hemorrhoids, I thought it was constipation. Sana, it's not constipation. They call something fecal impaction, like a highest form of constipation. Sometimes it even requires surgery. So I'm constipated. When I go to the washroom, like, I was just strain and only bladder will be coming, and I feel that the thing is in my tummy, but it was not coming out. If you strain to, you are aggravating the hemorrhoids. Eat roughages. What? Drink water. Drink olive oil. Drink soup. So at a point, I was afraid to eat, because when I eat, it has to come out. And when it's coming out too, it's a lot of work. So I had given birth, and the whole day I'll just drink a bowl of soup. And me too, I need breast milk. But I just couldn't help it. So later, when they found out I was fecal impaction, I just told my mother that I want to use an enema, as in bentua. And she said, hey, we operation INSA. Like, hey. When I read online, they said I can use enema. So I just went to find out whether after a C-section, you can use an enema. And then, like, all that I read was like, you can use an enema. I just went to tell my husband that, see, Ochina, it was funny, but I was in pain. So early in the morning, he went out. I didn't even tell my mother. I didn't tell anybody. Just the two of us. He went to get his. We warmed the water. And then he pumped the water into me. Oh God, I said this man deserves a medal. The things that came out of my tummy, only God can tell. I now understood why I read and they said it can even cause death. Because it was that bad, like spirogyra, like apotobibri inside my stomach. And we did that for like 2 to 3 days. And then I could pass normal stools, but the hemorrhoids were still there, so I found it difficult sitting. And as my mother said, and whenever I go to the washroom, the house comes to a standstill, because I'll be screaming and everybody will just be sad. My mother said when she wakes up in the morning, she's coming out, she's scared, because she doesn't know what else she's coming to see. I went through so much pain. Everybody was just sad. Nobody could eat. Myself, I couldn't eat. My baby was some way. Like, everything was just bizarre. But after we used the enema for some time, I could pass normal, so although it was difficult. So I was just using my hemorrhoid medication. And then when I drank olive oil now, it could peg me small. Not that one, it doesn't really peg you, but it's just the feces come with the oil, so it just greases the place so that you don't feel so much, because my fecal passage was all sore. So even when I pee, it's painful. It was that bad. And all these things, I was just blaming it on this child. That we were thinking, is it because the anesthesia was more? We were just thinking a lot of things, and I always felt that it was because of this child. So when she cries at night, I don't mind her. One time I was just holding her and I told my husband that, see, I don't like this child. I was crying and I was saying, but I just didn't like her. I just didn't want to see her face because I was going through a loss. You've given birth, you have to be excited and all that, but no, I wasn't excited. But now that everything has passed and I'm a normal person now, I just remember that after everything is over, I'll write a book. Thank God for DromoBaby, because I said I'll write a book. Everybody saw what I was going through, but only me. I am the only person who knows what I actually went through. And it wasn't easy, but after birth with the second one, I can't explain it. But now I'm normal. I love my child. I'm now sinking into my mom, because I wasn't even taking pictures of her. So our therapist told us that's okay. I told him that I don't like this child. I hate the child. And he's like, oh, so what did you do to love your first child so much? Like, I don't know. So okay, so go back and think about all that you did for him and write them down, and make sure that you consciously do some for the second one. I didn't. So it was getting to her 1 month. I'm like, no, I'm not having any photo shoots for it. I was still not well. I was still healing from a lot of things, but my husband was like, let's go and have the shoots for her and do a collage of the two of them, put them side by side. My phone was just full with my first daughter's pictures, and it's sad. It's depression. But sometimes we don't understand it. And if you are aware that it can be this, you know how to go about it. Because I'm with my child in the room, my baby, the new one in the room. But my first child doesn't sleep with me. She sleeps in another room. All that I'm waiting for in the morning is for her to come out. Although I have the child, I want to get rid of her and wait for my first daughter to come out. And then I come to my room in the morning and she'll just smile and my whole day will brighten up. Meanwhile, I have a baby that I have to also nurture and love. But I wasn't bothered. Like, I just didn't care. I just didn't want to see her. But gradually, when I started doing for her all that I was doing for the first girl and all that, I'm loving, like, I love her. So at this moment, I was just looking at her face and I just didn't want to put her down. Like, I just finished breastfeeding her and she was sleeping, dozing somewhere. And I'm like, oh God, what was depression ripping me off? Like, this baby is so adorable. Why was depression preventing me from loving this girl? But by the grace of God, mentally, I think I'm getting better. Emotionally, I'm fine. And physically too, I think I'm great. So we are on it. It is DromoBaby. It's a God-sent idea. I don't know whoever brought it up, but it's great. Because all that I went through, I've always wanted to keep memory of it, not to even lose track of just one. Because even my first child, when I came home from the hospital, my daddy gave me a diary and I made sure I wrote every single detail of my birth in it. So I plan to do this with the second one, but for some reason I've not been able to do it. So for DromoBaby to come and capture something like that will be there for posterity. I think it's a good idea. It's amazing. It helps us to keep track and it's nice. It's a God-sent idea. At least the internet doesn't forget. So it will always be there. The children will go and come and listen to it. Even if, God forbid, I have lost my memory, they will always know how their birth went, how everything about them, their mother and everything went. And I think DromoBaby, there's no words to thank DromoBaby. It's just amazing. And I learn from there too, sometimes, and I get inspiration from there. People say they don't like, they are shy, they have CS, so they are feeling some way and all that. So I take inspiration. Sometimes I comment on some of the things and I'm like, I learn from there. I learn a lot of things from there, how to even feed your children and all that. It's good. It's a platform to learn and share. I think it's a good initiative. My body, with the first one, my body didn't really change. Like when she was a year old or something. If I tell you I had given birth, you wouldn't believe it. My tummy was just so flat. I still had my curves and all of that. And then with the second one, I'm just 2 months postpartum. Even I think last month or so, I was just complaining, my tummy is big, it's bulging out. But now, as compared to last month, it has come down. I don't know whether I've added flesh, but I think I'm so the same. The only thing was that I had a keloid after my first incision. The scar became hypertrophic. It became big. That was the only thing. But that one, we can incision to me, so nobody sees it. But this time around, the doctor removed it, and he did something there. He was supposed to give me an injection. It's a corticosteroid injection to prevent the keloid from coming back. But he was like, the injection is too painful and it has a lot of side effects. So maybe this will not be my last child. Although I keep saying it, I said nobody knows what will happen. So it's not advisable I go through this pain and I'll go through another surgery and I'll go through another pain again. So when I'm sure that I'm not doing again, then I come and have that injection. But now the keloid isn't coming with the second one. I'm using aloe vera and honey. I'm just praying and hoping that it doesn't come. If it comes too, I don't mind. My body hasn't really changed. Now my tummy is still flabby, but it's just 2 months. I remember I was very worried about my tummy with my first one. And my brother, the doctor told me that, but how many months did it take you to get pregnant? It was 9 months. So at least give yourself 9 months to start seeing changes, like better changes in your life. And I gave myself 9 months. And after 1 year, I was okay. But I was using waist trainers. I wasn't exercising. I was just wearing them. I was just wearing the waist trainers. But with this one, with all the second one, with all the issues I had coming home, I just didn't want to go back to the hospital with any other issue again. So I've not started using my waist trainers yet. I just want to wait maybe after 3 months or more. I'll start using them. But with the first one, 2 weeks, I started wearing my waist trainers. But with this, I can wear them. But I just don't want any other issue with your hemorrhoids, your fecal infection, with your high blood pressure and all that. I'm still on BP medication though. Yes, I'm still on the BP medication. But I'm not, my body hasn't really changed much, no. When we were at the hospital, the day they said we should bring her to the MBU. When we were coming, I just saw this girl. Her eyeballs were just dilating. All the black had left and it was left with the white. I was with my husband. I said, "Hey, Aradi, I thought she was dying. Apparently, she was sleeping. That's how she sleeps. Sometimes when she sleeps and she's not really deeply asleep, all the black goes and it's left with only the white." That was when I really got scared. That was when we were at the hospital. I didn't know her. She was a new child, so I hadn't experienced that about her. So that was one with her. And with the first one, we've not really had much. There was just one day she wasn't in her cots. I was reading, so she was by me, and she was in a net. I had put a net over her, and she was lying by me, and I fell asleep. The almighty kum that everybody has been hearing. She was like 5 months, and I heard kum. Oh my God, my heart left my body and came back. I was scared, but she just screamed one and she was fine. So in the morning, my mother examined her wrist, her arms, her elbows, her knees, her head. She said nothing was wrong with her. But immediately I gave her para. And my brother said, "Oh, I shouldn't worry. There's no need taking her to the hospital. Nothing will happen." So that was the only scary moment I have had with my first girl, and with the second one, what I had at the hospital. And I'm just hoping and praying. This one, I've made up my mind. God help me, that I wouldn't hear kum with my second girl. There's a lot. There's a lot. See, with my little girl, when she's done breastfeeding, sometimes she feeds from the bottle, sometimes I feed her directly. When I feed her directly, and you can see that she's full, like breast milk now bone, but like she's so full and she's dozing off, I feel fulfilled, because me now, I wasn't getting breast milk. Now my daughter can feed her and be full and be dozing. Like right now, because I'll be going to work soon, I have stacks of breast milk in the freezer. Like, you just can't believe it. Even yesterday, I just bought a new pack of storage bags because the first ones I bought are just done. I keep expressing and storing. So when I'm able to give her enough breast milk for the little girl, I feel like I am self-actualized. Oh, the first one, a lot of things. She knows I'm mommy. She calls me mommy sometimes, and she calls me by my name sometimes. When she calls me mommy, I don't feel as much butterflies like when she calls me by my name. I become weak. Sometimes when she does something and I say, "Won't you stop what you're doing?" and she don't mention my name. And she mentioned my name like I should calm down. And she'll be doing her hand like this. I find it so rewarding. And then when you're able to send her and she goes, yeah, she knows that, oh, go and bring me water. She can go to where the water is, get the water for you and bring it. Go and put this in the bin. She can go all the way from the room to the kitchen. When she's able to do those little things, and right now with the COVID, she's home. She was in school, but COVID came and she's home. So I try to teach her some things. And when I teach her, I'm alone with her and I teach her. When she sees a third person, then she'll start reciting it. And okay, hey, what is she saying? And then I'll say, hey, why are you? And I feel like, hey, me too, I've been able to do something. Me too, I've been able to. I was teaching her things in English and things in Chi. But one time, all my rhymes and my everything was finished. So I was there and I taught her a short poem in French. When she's there, then she'll come. Rena, 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 like fox, fox, fox in French. And when she says it, everybody's just so amazed. When she does those things, I'm like, I feel like that's all the reward I need in my life. Like, my daughter can learn and remember. Me too, my daughter can learn and remember. Like, it's just so rewarding. And when she wakes up in the morning, she comes to my room and she just sees me and she just smiles. Oh God, I become weak. There's always light at the end of the tunnel. There's always light at the end of the tunnel. All that I want to tell them is that there's always light at the end of the tunnel. I'm one person, I don't like stress. I don't know whether it's a positive or it's a negative. But if something will stress me out, I just do away with it. I think that is the more reason why I think I am done with pregnancy and childbirth. Like, I can't be myself. Like, I'm always so bazaar. But as a mother, if you are going through all these things, just look at the greater glory of it. Just look at the greater glory of it. No pain, no gain. Every good thing doesn't come on a platter. Yes, and then one thing I also want to say is the partners. Please support your wives. People say that when they gave birth, they are sleep deprived, they are this, they are that. Oh, glory to God. I still sleep. My children are sleepers fine, but my husband, he always says that we are on shift. During the day, I'll take care of the baby. And in the night, when she cries to be fed in the night, I don't wake up. He feeds her, he changes her diaper. And my mother also takes care of my like, help is very important. So mothers, caretakers, husbands, siblings, whatever help that you can give to new moms, it will be very much appreciated, especially if they have toddler babies. Because in my case, I had a CS again, and I'm not supposed to lift heavy things. But this is my 20+ month old who wants me to carry her. So imagine if I didn't have help. Maybe I would have forced to carry her and rip my wounds open again. But my mother and my sister were here to take care of the first one, bathing her, feeding her, everything about her. They'll just do it. And my husband too will take care of the baby. So sometimes I just try to wake up and be like, oh, Dada, meshano. And I'll just go back to sleep again. So the help has been amazing. I think that if not for the help that I got, mentally, I wouldn't have been able to go through my depression so easily and shortly. So please, help. And the mothers too. It's all part of it. It's all part of it. Just try your very best. Just try your very best and pray to God that whatever you go through, He gives you glory for it. He gives you glory for it. And I think that will be all. My other very last word is gender selection. I think that we shouldn't be so fixated on one gender. It doesn't really help. Sometimes it rips you of your joy. When my first baby, we checked her gender, but with the second one, my husband was like, we don't want to check. Male or female, so whatever we get, we want it. So it helped us. Meanwhile, some people, I have a girl, I want to get a boy, and then they get a girl again, and they can't be happy. They can't celebrate the joy that God has brought into their lives. So please, in as much as you want to gender balance, you don't have to be so fixated on a particular gender, so that you'll be able to flow in the love that God has shared in your life. Yes.
This video was brought to you by Treats by Ya, ready to bake and fry treats.